Pedigree. I knew how to use my dad's record player. I'm grateful for the deep passion he had for music, because his records were to become my musical subconscious. His collections celebrate all things American. They were the composer Aaron Copland and the guitarist John Fahey. They were Aileen Lamont recording the Blue Note records. Both my parents had immigrant mentality. Say they loved America as only immigrants can. Elizabeth Compton Ross, Canadian who grew up in Montreal, Dante Americo de Franco, the first American-born semi-Italian family, took being American very seriously. My father's middle name expressed the pride his parents felt just to have gotten here. My parents were patriotic about paying taxes and taught me all of what you get for is in America. They were not only voted, but my mother volunteered her time to local candidates she believed in. I sat with her and volunteered her time to local candidates she believed in. I sat with her, stuffing envelopes and licking stamps in circles of laughing women. I went canvassing door holding onto her hand. My mom had helped organize a food co-op in our neighborhood. Every weekend in the summer, farmers would come out, lay up their bounty on the floor of the church up by the block, and everyone from the neighborhood would bring bags or boxes over, buy their food right off the floor. She helped to form an organization of architects and urban planners called Women for Downtown. Their mission was to try to attract investment in, achieve revitalization of Buffalo's inner city. She could wax poetic about the very concept of the city, a great value cities had for humanity at the center of culture and ideas. For the entirety of my childhood, my mother worked for Robert Coles Architects, downtown Buffalo. Bob was another pioneer in the field of architecture, a black man who started a firm in the 70s that attempted to compete with the big boys in the city for major state bids. They never seemed to get the sexy jobs, though, the ones with budgets big enough to afford the architect's artistic license. Mother dreamed of designing atriums and buildings. They were not called for in the prisons and gymnasiums that were the firm's usual fare. Remember, smartly dressed black men and white women working together with determination and hope in their eyes. They believed they were every bit of talented as the powerful firms. They were just worked hard enough. Eventually the world would take notice. Not sure they could ever did happen, but working hard they did. Father, meanwhile, got a job at Bell Aerospace and impressively had broken into the burgeoning field of aeronautical engineering, with no pedigree or connection shepherding him. He worked at a research lab. They famously produced planes like the X-1, the first airplane to break the sound barrier. The application of aeronautical advances towards making war did not seem to bother my father. The military was a necessary evil, but years later, when the lab got sold out to what he considered to be a commercial interest, he fought the move and lost his job because of it. Mother said he quit his job on principle, but whatever the case, a feeling of shame seemed to fall over him. His ritual one martini a night then turned into 2 and 3. Strain began to show in them both. Losing their job haunted him to end his days, and many years later, sitting with him in the nursing home, I would have to talk him down when the orderlies suddenly become the bad guys, coming into the lab to strip his life of self-respect, the grace of pure science. He loved those poor orderlies. My dad was really the gentlest of souls. He stood 5'2" at his tallest. So do I at the end of his life. I towered over him, because the stature he condensed into many ways of the world. Ways that I witnessed, and I'm sure that ways I didn't. He never did seem to get ruffled by the world that called him Danny, parted on him the head. Notably endearing, he hadn't a whiff of Napoleon complex in him. He was the bearer of unconditional love for his family, and really killing as a parent. Stan's was, let them eat a box of donuts. They would get sick of throughout, but they will learn. To which my mother would scoff. She was rule maker and rule enforcer. He was Santa.